Hello, one more time, people from the internet. Here I am, one more time in one more video. To this time, to tell you about the future of this channel. Last time I did a bit of a backward look to what have been done in the latest 7 months, and this time I thought it would be interesting to discuss what can you expect from this channel in the immediate future. The longer the distance, the more difficult it is for me to predict what is going to happen with this channel. As with everything, I guess that's the case. So when I started this channel, the the method I followed to decide the the pace of the videos was according to a certain channel of YouTube dedicated to music promotion. The guy in charge seemed to me to know what he was talking about. My personal judgment isn't any guarantee because I've been terribly wrong very often. I'm not a very practical person, or I would be in a quite better material situation considering my gifts at this time. That's what I think. I used to consider myself a good judge of character, but no longer. And also in YouTube, everybody calls themselves a guru. But I like this guy for I like what he proposed. I don't really like the guy, and that was part of the appeal also because the guy for me is so cringy and so disgusting in his delivery that to the point that whenever there's a transcription of the video available, I used to read it instead of having to watch him and his lack of lack of talent and and yet the content my reasoning was, and yet the content still makes sense, still survives, so there must be something here. The guy also has a respectable list of people he says he's worked with and that I know. And also, I like that he didn't try right away to sell you the magic pill, the course that will take you to the stratosphere of views and listens. But he proposed a technique that was about constancy of purpose and then cranking out video after video after video as it relates to YouTube, which is the main part I'm focusing on. He talks about all the social media. Like I said, I was in a situation where I had way more time than money, so I thought, hey, why not try to make a game out of the making the non-musical videos, making the music videos, the lyric videos, all that ancillary content. And that's why I adopted this technique. The guy didn't try to sell his magic course right away, so I like that too. And so that's why I choose this technique, which basically it consists in creating song cycles of 6 to 8 weeks for each song. Instead of flooding the market with songs that nobody is going to listen to because you don't have an audience, you launch one song, and then after a while you launch a lyric video, wait for a while, and then you launch maybe a remix or a collaboration, then you launch the music video itself. And this technique, the advantage of it is that it gives you in the people's attention span, and also it's favored by the algorithm. The algorithm is supposed to work according to people's attention span, and people need to constantly be reminded of this kind of stuff. It happens to me as a consumer also, so it makes complete sense to me. It's very usual when maybe you like one song and then after couple of weeks or 3 weeks, YouTube or other platform brings it to you again, and you think like, hey, well, it's been 3 weeks already. Oh my god! And yeah, I like this thing. What's new with this? So I thought it could be an interesting way of presenting my stuff, and also it makes you more like gives a bigger value to your content, to your product, because you're not flooding the market with a lot of music, but making each song count, and that's good for people to appreciate what you do more, and also for yourself to take more care about each song, each little detail, etc. I knew that I needed some kind of plan of production, in this kind of one video per week, because there's always a risk of falling into perfectionism and getting stagnated. I think it's true for all arts, for music it's true, and it's happened to me often. There's danger of staying too much with this particular song, this particular detail that no one cares. So I like this, the weekly pulse. It's like a discipline that sticks you to, anchors you to reality. So this guy from YouTube, his provision is that you have to do this, keep this weekly pace for more or less 1 year. So that's what in the plan for me. This means that at the very least, the second EP, similar to the first one, is guaranteed. I'm currently in the thick of it. I'm maybe about 40% finished, considering everything, songs, videos, all the stuff. I'm not following this system because I think it's a magic formula that's going to bring me fame and success and recognition, but because I needed, like I say, some kind of objective measure to keep me on track, like a way of drawing the line somewhere. Otherwise, things become too abstract. So that second EP that's in the works, I can tell you right now that it's going to be similar in a way to the first one. In its composition is mainly rockers and a few power ballads, similar to Alone, I guess. Uh, all the songs come from the same song cycle, that period where I used to write one song a day, more or less. Well, I did one jam session a day, trying to convey it towards composing a song, and sometimes a song came, another I just had fun. And yeah, I'm hoping that as I'm improving as a musician, there will be differences in the quality and because a lot of hours of work have gone by from that EP to this one. And about the mix of the songs, the composition of the song, I think what happens to me is that my main inspirator band is Queen. And I like Queen. I think I've inherited from them unconsciously a certain eclecticism. There are a lot of musical styles that interest me, and I try to do them well, not like a tourist, which is what guys from Queen did too. And at the same time, I like now and then to remember people that I can rock your socks off like anybody else, like Queen did also. So I guess that's what happened with me. I'm not ashamed of the lower, slower, more melodic style, but I tend to compose rock songs now and then. With the difference, perhaps my my range of rock it's a bit heavier than they were, because I like things like Pantera, Carcass, and that stuff, and maybe they were more like into 60s rock or something like that. No? Freddie Mercury was a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix, and Brian May was very influenced by Cream, etc. So I like I say, I have those influences too, but I perhaps like I'm a bit more into extreme metal than Queen, but they are in the mix when you listen to the result. That's what goes on. So the songs for that this EP are already decided. Weeks you hear the first one, which I'm pretty proud of it. It's been a hell of a job, by the way. And now I'm facing another problem because I'm also dabbling in composition for the songs for a possible third EP. And I'm in a bit of a dilemma because I don't know if continuing or with the songs from this writing session, from which the first and second EP are coming. But in the meantime, a new batch of songs have been creeping their way in here and there. Sometimes I wake up and I dream a fragment of a song and I have to write it, or it doesn't leave me alone. So I have like 3 or 4 songs that have appeared, and I don't know if mixing them up with the songs from the previous song cycle or making a short EP out of them, or I don't know how is it going to do we also because like I say, as you go in the distance, my future plans are more and more uncertain. All I can tell for sure is the second EP is going to be a reality. All of the songs are already started, and I'm very excited about them. I'm very happy, really. Another thing that is very uncertain at this point is the ancillary content for the channel. Like I say, I still don't know where to take things. I don't have much success. Very good. I'm not very good at the YouTube thing. And I'm not a person of popular tastes. I often think that I'm weird. I'm wired in a weird way because often I find that the things that people find very easy for me are very hard, and the opposite way around. Sometimes I amaze people because I do in a very simple and natural way things that they find difficult. So all I can do by now is more experiments. New videos showing my mag if that's what the algorithm wants or people enjoy, because sometimes people like to see me talking, and I'm a well-read individual. I very opinionated. I have opinions about everything about under the sun, and sometimes people like that. But I have a bit of a confusion also in that matter because I never know what people really like or dislike about me. And when I try to influence someone, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to use my personal superpower to influence this person. Generally, it doesn't work. Generally, the thing that people like about me is unknown, always works when I'm not aware of it. So that's when you take it to the camera world, it's even more confusing. So I'm just going to throw spaghetti to the wall, keep trying things and see what sticks, what's the intersection between what can I do and what the this YouTube thing likes, enjoys, etc. I'm open to all your suggestions. I try to please anything that is within the range of what I can do and I don't find demeaning. So leave possible comments, ideas, and suggestions in a kind, polite way, please. Thank you. Uh, Another thing that I've tried in the past is posting some of my jam sessions. I am I have a bit of conflicting feelings about this because on one hand, I posting my jam sessions seems a bit like self-indulgent, uh, but on the other hand, the jam that I published somewhere in Jam, uh, a hidden reference, I guess some of you will have noticed to Iron Maiden. uh, it have a decent response, and people seem to enjoy it. So I'm thinking, I'm not thinking of posting all my jam sessions. Some of my jam sessions are a disaster. I see them like shooting an arrow. No, sometimes the arrow hits the bullseye, and that's the one that you show. And sometimes it's a freaking disaster. I I've recently changed my policies, and I just keep all the jams because I'm not writing a journal these days. I'm a bit overloaded with words. So I give a date to all the jams. I consider them my sonic journal. It's, some of them are awful and cacophonic. I don't get anywhere, but listen, re-listening to them gives me the vibe of that particular day. It's a kind of record. But in some other jumps, sometimes you get in the zone and something happens, and some of those jumps I re-listen to them with great pleasure, with great enjoyment, and I think maybe some people could enjoy them too. I'm, as a consumer of content, I consume a lot of content, and maybe these jams could be something someone can check out for a while on their way to something more interesting or more important. I don't know. And there's always a current factor, a here and now factor. It happens with our creation. Sometimes this or that book or this or that movie maybe are not the wonderful masterpiece of the ages, but as they are done by someone from your time and you're checking them out on your time, that has like an extra electricity, an extra interest. So I might publish a few of those jumps to see how it goes. Establishing, like one of the commenters said, like establishing like a parallel work besides the EPs, the serious stuff that sounds more thought out and honed. Maybe I'll do one or two of them and see how it goes. Also, like I mentioned in my previous video, I have interests in education, and I like to do something about that, something related to music, to helping people get more familiar with music and what music means and how it can enlarge and make more beautiful your life. Mm, I have challenges about this because, like I said, because I'm an original. I'm wired weird, and perhaps my music comes from that. And you have to take the good part and the bad part too. But that means that maybe as a professor, as a as a teacher, I'm not very good. On the other hand, like I said, I'm a very well-read individual. I've read a lot, so I'm quite capable of explaining myself. But I don't know if I'm focusing on things that maybe people don't find interesting. I'm not. I don't know if I'm good at reading what people really needs, what's lacking in musical information. I wouldn't like this channel to turn into a channel of musicians for musicians. So I'm not sure I'd like to do tutorials about how to do this sound effect or how to do this in a video editor. Besides, there's lots of people that can do that stuff way better than me, have the better means, explain themselves better, and have a more standard equipment. What happens with me on the technical stuff is that I usually pick it up on the go as I need it. I mean, if in a video I need to know how to make something transparent, I go to the tutorial and learn it. If a song needs a tapping in guitar and I cannot play it, I take a tutorial, practice, and learn how to do the tapping. So I don't revere technique per se. So maybe my knowledge is a bit patchy, a bit scattered, and that's another disadvantage for doing the tutorials and such. And also the part that really counts for me of making music isn't really something technical that you can tell in step one, step two, step three. A musician must be aware, for me, a musician worth his salt must be aware of being part of a culture, being one of the trees of the forest. And you cannot do a tutorial to tell people get a culture or care about what other musicians do and try to reverse engineer the musicians that you like. So that's not a tutorial you can do, and because that's the thing. Artistic creation really is for me, the way I see it is more based on the exceptions than on rules. The style of a musician that you remember is composed of the rules he's decided to take and the rules he's decided to violate. And out of those transgressions or sometimes conciliations, sometimes a musician gets to cohabitate two things that were considered opposite, and that's that way he creates something new. So you cannot teach that. It's each person's individual experience is what's going to give that mixture of accepting and rejecting. And also about, by the way, is why I think the debate about AI, that I don't think music can be made by a computer, because what is it going to do? Randomize when it violates a rule? It makes no sense. And music also has this component of being of its time. No, something that a certain transgression doing now, maybe 20 years ago, wouldn't make no sense, but now it would be shocking, etc. And a machine cannot learn that. So I don't think AI is going to substitute music creation. We can rest from that side, no problem. So, like I said, the second EP is well on its way. It's taking a lot of work, but then it has some moments I really like. I'm happy of my development. Hope you like it too. We'll see. We'll see. At some point, I'd like to get an actual electric guitar. By now I'm making do with samples, and paradoxically, I have had good comments, positive comments on the sound of guitars. Hey, how cool the sound! Guitar sounds very cool, which hadn't ever happened to me when I was using a guitar. Maybe because my guitars tended to be crappy and the samples are maybe taken from excellent guitars, but using samples, it's always a limitation, and I like to get at some point an electric guitar. My material situation has improved from a year ago, let's say, so I could actually afford a decent guitar. What I cannot afford is maybe getting a guitar and finding it's the wrong guitar and having to go through all the fuss of returning it, trying out again. It's difficult for me to choose. I hate those technical reviews, and things like YouTube really don't help much because they tend to be demos without much commentary. And things like Amazon comments, all the same. You find all the spectrum from best guitar ever to a piece of shit. You come any near, so you really don't know. You lack the hands-on, and I couldn't also afford maybe getting one guitar and having to leave it behind. So because my housing situation is still not optimum, so I'm trying to my upcoming months are about solving that problem first, getting a better base camp where I can safely have and keep a guitar. And if I get that guitar, given that the song cycles of Flat Society are quite long and I'm getting the hang of it, I'm thinking of maybe trying to juggle the production with my other projects, which require actual electric guitar. One is Black Sheep Riot. I spoke about it in the previous video. It's a more conventional, let's say, punk hardcore band with influences of thrash. and the influence by Queen, and it's always present. I always end up mixing all the music that I heard ends up appearing there somewhere. You can check in the channel. The recordings are primitive, but I like the songs. It's the band that I'd rather be doing, to be honest. Although lately the Flat Society, it seems I cannot avoid to have my tough side. I couldn't expect it will happen using keyboards and the like, but I guess there's something that has to come through, and it comes through whatever means you have. And then I have another project that's Maple Lie, that it's a project that I conceived for my songs that are more in a 60s rock style, in the vein of The Doors, Neil Young, music in that style, hard rock, sometimes touching slightly country Americana, I guess. And what has happened as while I've left those projects behind for a while has been there has been a funny effect of the pot that you're watching is the one that never boils, because those other pots have boiled a little that I didn't expect. It's you put your stuff online there, and more often than not you seeing it's like putting it on a garbage can. But these projects seem to be alive, because while I wasn't looking, Maple Lie has reached 22 followers in SoundCloud, which makes it my most popular musical project to date, perhaps because it's the one that has the highest number of songs there uploaded. I don't know. Big surprise for me. I guess also the rock songs are more accessible than the tougher stuff. And then with Black Sheep Riot, I had the enormous satisfaction the other day that I sold on Bandcamp one record. Perhaps now that I think of it, is the first time I've sold a record. Yeah, since the demos from my band from the 90s. Yeah, and it's something so great, such a great event. Isn't going to I'm not going to buy the Judge just yet with, with this sale, but it's great at so many levels that I was so happy. I was almost about to just make a whole video about it, because it's a second Black Sheep Riot video that suffered a bit of the sophomore jinx, and it was like a mishmash of things. I had problems with the guy who did the cover. I had the mix was awful. My gear started to fail, and nevertheless, this stranger from the internet who could have simply listened to the record on YouTube for free, he has purchased it, and if you see his avatar, he really seems he's a guy interested in punk. So that's like the sword on the shoulder. I was concerned because the first Black Sheep Riot album is more standard punk, a batch of songs that I did in one sitting, and they all sound like conventional punk. And it's an album that I still like very much, published in 2013. But this second one was like a mishmash of things, and I can say the gear started to shit on my face, and I did what I could for the songs, and it makes me very happy that this someone has invested his well-earned money on saying, "Hey, I like this shit. Do more of this." Another thing that I'd really like to do in this CP, I wish it could happen. We'll see. It would be making some collaboration. I tried, and I tried with the first EP. I was this close with Acid Monkeys. Was almost. I did a few rounds of interchange of files with a trash guitarist from Ukraine. The poor guy obviously had a lot on his plate with his own projects and the situation there, and he couldn't. He finally told me he couldn't commit to it, but we were close and it was a great experience. But it's very difficult to find collaborators. They generally they are difficult to find, and when you find one, they generally chicken out very quickly. I don't know why. And also, I'm still too small of a fish to interest someone from YouTube or something like that. So that limits my range of options. I'm hoping it will happen at some point because it's also no, I'm not only because I love the experience and the validation of working with someone else who considers himself a musician and works towards it, but also it's good algorithm wise because you extend the lifespan of the song a couple of weeks following this system of cycle of reminding people and the algorithm. So we'll see. I'm going to keep on trying, and then we'll see how it goes. Also related to this, although not directly connected to the songs, but I like to get me some kind of musical body, someone with which I can simply change impressions, because one of the biggest problems of the DIY warrior I'm finding is that you will end up losing a perspective very easily. There's always a point at the end of my song production, always where I have to do cooling off periods. I listen to a song and maybe write down what I think is still wrong, and I cannot listen to that song maybe until the next day because it's become like something absurd. My brain doesn't recognize patterns. It doesn't can tell right from wrong. It's like saying the word cow 1,000 times until it means nothing. And it would really help having someone with fresh ears. I would do the same for that person. But again, it's something quite difficult to find. I'm finding in the internet, the fact that you can reach out to anybody in the world doesn't mean that it is going to go well or that that person deserves being contacted, or that there's enough connection for that to have some continuity. And that's the paradox of our times. Again, we're so connected wonderfully, but then everything is like touch and go, and people is extremely flaky. They speak in tweets and in emoticons. It's terrible. It's the death of language, which is the death of thought, and that's what you find mostly out there. It's really difficult to find sensible and sensitive musicians out there. A lot of people, a lot of musicians. The cliche is that actors are quite dumb, that without a script they cannot function, that they are like cattle. I think uh, Alfred Hitchcock said that directing was like moving cattle around. But I'm finding many musicians give me also that impression. They are not real artists. They seem to me like a monkey jerking off to their instrument. They want to be left alone doing their little thing they learned a while ago, and they don't connect with real human expressiveness, and they don't want to talk about stuff, and you need to discuss stuff if you're going to make any worthwhile music with another human being. So I've stumbled upon that wall thousands of times. Well, to be exact, it's been 36 by now since since I started trying to collaborate in Reddit and other forums less popular. But who knows? Maybe I like I say, I was very close with the collaboration once, so who knows? So that's what's in store for the future for this channel. Sorry, I know there's a lot I can speak about. I've spoken about everything that seems to be clear, and the rest we'll be seeing it together, I guess. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video. Bye.